Oh, how the tables have turned. As Donald Trump consolidates his new administration, his former prosecutor Fani Willis has been dishonorably disqualified with nothing more than a viral mugshot from the entire case. But I think what's even more intriguing is the reaction of the mainstream media using some pretty loaded language to cover this legal defeat against Donald Trump, and this CNN segment did precisely that. Merry Christmas, and watch this before I tell you more about it.
We begin this hour with breaking news just into CNN. The Georgia prosecutor leading the state's election interference case against President-elect Donald Trump is now disqualified. CNN's Caitlin Polance is here with more. Caitlin, what can you tell us about this? This is just coming in the last several minutes. This is a big development.
A big development, and a big development that Donald Trump has wanted for a long time. That case against him in Georgia, the criminal case where it's accusing him and several others of a racketeering conspiracy related to the 2020 election, it's already been paused. Now it's not even backburnered. This is a case that will be dead in the water because the Georgia Court of Appeals is now saying that Fani Willis, the leader of the prosecution against Donald Trump, the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, she should be disqualified from being able to bring that case. The Georgia Court of Appeals is saying that it's a significant appearance of impropriety caused by the conduct of a public prosecutor. That is Willis, how she behaved, how she was speaking about the case, about Trump publicly, about how she was having a relationship with the top prosecutor that was concealed in this, a man named Nathan Wade. All of that, previously, the trial level judge had looked at and said, Fani Willis can stay on this case. We're not dismissing the indictment, but the Court of Appeals is now taking another look and saying, no, the trial judge was wrong. Fani Willis should be disqualified from continuing to lead this case. It would be a long process, or it will be a long process to replace her, which is why I say this case is dead in the water now without Fani Willis, the person who was leading this case against Donald Trump in Fulton County.
Wow, so does the mark end of a protracted 4-year-long legal battle for Donald Trump from multiple different angles? Between all of the 3 major cases against him being the so-called hush money case, mishandling of classified documents, and then the Georgia RICO case, I think that it's even the last one that marks the end of the lawfare that Trump has been alleging for the past 4 years. Now, we've covered the case and Fani Willis extensively before, and we even told you that the prosecutors were in a race against time to bring charges and get a sentencing before the November election. And it seems like the legal team that Donald Trump had, their legal strategy of questioning, the neutrality of the prosecutor did much more damage than just a delay tactic. Here's why. Remember the infamous speech at a church that Fani Willis made right in the middle of the controversy, muddying the truth about her straight up alleging racism for why Nathan Wade was being targeted?
I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, and a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar, a great friend, and a great lawyer. Oh Lord, they gonna be mad when I call them out on this nonsense. First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one?
Well, it's a testament to the Trump legal team that used her statements in private capacity as well as professional conduct to dent the image of the prosecution as politically motivated. The judge at the time, Scott McAfee, called Fani's statement as playing the race card that was legally improper. It may not have gotten her disqualified from the case then, but all of these small reputational dents resulted in a verdict we saw this week that justified the removal as saying, quote, while we recognize that an appearance of impropriety generally is not enough to support disqualification, this is the rare case in which disqualification is mandated and no other remedy will suffice to restore public confidence in the integrity of these proceedings. And that means this case has basically reached an impasse for the next 4 years and probably indefinitely, since the new prosecution will have to build a case against Donald Trump from the ground up, rather than continuing with the file of evidence that Fani Willis had built up over the last 3 years. And in a legal victory for Trump like this, especially on top of a broad presidential immunity, as he takes the White House, CNN could do little but to pacify its audience by repeating the tired phrase, convicted felon.
As you and Ellie were just talking about, at the beginning of this year, then former President Trump, he was facing 4 criminal cases. And of course, he was tried and convicted in New York in the so-called hush money case. But as of now, it's unclear if he'll ever be sentenced in that case. We're currently waiting for the judge, Judge Juan Merchan, to rule on a motion to dismiss, another effort by the Trump team to try to get that conviction tossed based on the fact that he's president-elect. So a truly extraordinary victory for the Trump legal team's crusade over the past 2 years to just delay on behalf of their client in the hopes that he would be reelected. Now, he is a convicted felon. He was convicted of 34 counts in Manhattan earlier this year, but as I said, it's unclear if he'll ever even be sentenced on those charges.
What's interesting is that the only thing Fani Willis has to show for this years-long prosecution hunt is a viral mugshot of Donald Trump, and that's a picture that practically had the opposite effect on his electorate, with voters printing it out on mugs, putting it on shirts, and even Trump himself selling mugshot-themed merch. But the fact is that if Fani Willis truly wanted this case against Trump to move to conclusion in time, she should have stepped away voluntarily and handed it to a different prosecutor when there was still time to buy a new case. But much like Joe Biden, she stayed far too long and wasted too much time to let her successors carry forward. And in that many months delay, more and more speeches and clips from her testimony hearing made it look like she was simply not politically neutral enough in the eyes of the people to lead the prosecution. Watch this fiery moment from her testimony earlier this year, basically having to be forced to answer basic questions like when her relationship with Nathan Wade ended.
When did your personal relationship with Mr. Wade end?
Our personal relationship ended in this year. So let's be very clear so that we don't mix words. I don't want to mix words in here. Mr. Wade is my friend right now. Mr. Wade, I would say, has been my friend since 2020. I don't think that's what you're asking. I think that's what you're asking.
When did your romantic relationship with Mr. Wade end? Did it end?
Me and Mr. Wade, we are good friends. My respect for him has grown over these 7 weeks of attacks. We are very good friends. I think, but for these attacks, it would have been a friendship that, as life goes, he would have stopped having. I think that you have cemented that we'll be friends till the day we die.
Could we just have an answer to the question?
I can handle Mr. Seda. Let's have it.
She asked about a personal relationship.
Mr. Wade visited you at the place you laid your head.
When?
Has he ever visited you at the place you laid your head?
So let's be clear, because you lied in this. Let me tell you which one you lied in. Right here. I think you lied right here. No. This is the truth, Judge. And it is a lie. It is a lie.
That's what it looks like when you shoot yourself in the foot, and Fani Willis did a lot more than just that. The relationship with Nathan Wade and all of the alleged financial kickbacks she took from their trips together sabotaged the case entirely. And just this week, the trouble spilled over to the broader administration, with Nathan Wade basically admitting that he had gone to the White House and met with Biden administration officials multiple times while working on the case. Now, while that doesn't prove anything as of yet, the mere fact that these details are coming out after Nathan and Fani were removed from the case means more people are starting to ask more questions about the prosecution itself. Nathan Wade admitted to billing for a conference at the White House during a deposition in November. The transcript reads as Nathan is saying the question, quote, "If it says conference with White House counsel, would you have billed a conference with White House counsel?" And Nathan Wade replied, yes, no wonder why the Georgia State Appeals Court agreed to remove both Nathan and Fani, given how controversial and politically motivated they were sounding to the public, which ultimately erodes trust in the justice system. For Donald Trump, he never seemed quite worried about this particular case, especially after the prosecution itself had dug itself into a hole as November approached.
I was indicted by Fani in Georgia. Fani. How did that work out? And her lover, Nathan Wade. And they hired him for almost $1 million because of his great experience. Of course, he didn't have any experience. He had experience in something else. You know that. A lot of experience. And at that, I'm quite sure he was very good, based on the fact that she called him 2,000 times. I didn't know the gentleman. I didn't know him. Oh, you have 2,000 phone calls, 3,500 text messages. How is it possible in a short... I know a lot of people. We like a lot of people. I happen to have a very good relationship with a woman called Melania. But I would venture to say, in all the years that I've known her, I might not have called her 2,500 times. That's a I know I didn't send 3,500 text messages. And they did this in a very short period.
And now that the tables have turned after November, it seems like Donald Trump has also had the last laugh. Right now, the cases against him have stalled either as a result of immunity, tainted prosecutors, or delayed sentencing. But tell me in the comments how you see the next 4 years panning out for Donald Trump, because it's not just the legal system, but also the voter and the media that's in charge of keeping the president accountable for the people.